Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Athlete Chronicles podcast. Joining me shortly is going to be our co-host, Energy, just having some technical difficulties getting on. But we're going to start right off the bat with he doesn't know, there's one of my favorite guys on the team that I coach with him. And we'll go on to those when we have questions as to why. But we're just going to jump right into it. And I want to introduce and welcome Duane Notice to the show.
I really appreciate you having me on. It's been a long time coming, but I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, and we had our conversation in my kitchen, you and Makah McIntosh. Was it August of last year, just on how to get this kind of thing started and going, and we're on episode 24 now. So I wanted to thank you for your advice and everything that you've given, and here we are, and again, welcome.
Thank you. Like you mentioned, being in the kitchen, just talking about just what you wanted to do with this and seeing you execute it has been crazy. It's like inspiration for me as well, just to see y'all follow through it. So it's awesome that you're able to do this. And man, the podcast space and the wave is a new thing out here. So everybody is hopping on and making do what they can.
Duane, one of the first questions we always like to ask the athletes that are on the show is, where are you from? Where were you born?
I was born in Toronto. I'm from Toronto, Ontario. Kind of grew up in North York for a little bit, and then I moved to Vaughn. I grew up in Vaughn, went to school downtown Toronto, but still kind of lived in Vaughn until I went to prep school in the States.
Okay, I didn't know that part. That was a question. You played in Vaughn. When did you go to the States for prep school? What grade was that?
My last year of high school, I kind of took like a post-grad year at St. Thomas More in Connecticut, and it was, I guess, an unconventional route. But at the time, I feel like a lot of players were doing that back then, like either reclassifying or taking that extra fifth year of high school so that they can just get ready before they went to college. Or you had some players that actually just went to college and then just opted out to redshirt that first year. But I wanted to play right away, so I knew I had some growing to do, just maturing on and off the court. So going to prep school really got me prepared for going to university.
Okay, and then obviously from there, that escalated into your D1 offer.
Yeah, from there, I already had offers before then, but again, just being in Toronto, it's a different time now. Obviously, basketball has grown, especially the culture, the opportunities, the networking, the resources, everything has just expanded tremendously. And the next generation after us is just reaping the benefits, which is amazing. When I was growing up, outside of Andrew Wiggins, who was the guy that I played with on Bounce, he was the one that was college coaches would cross the border for. Outside of that, like guys like me, Tyler Ennis, Xavier Mays, other players, Kevin Pangos, etc. Like, we had to go and make our bones in the States. And then, that's when coaches would see us on the AAU circuit. And this is, again, before mixtapes were coming out on social media and all this stuff. So the exposure wasn't really there. So, a lot of guys had to go to prep school. So that's why a lot of guys in my generation, they ended up going to prep school. Even guys older than me, like Corey Joseph and Tristan Thompson, like, they also went to prep school because they had to, get a better opportunity so that they can get a scholarship. Because back then, like I said, schools weren't coming down to Canada watching us play and offering us scholarships. So it was a journey, but it was cool to kind of embark on that journey, because when I was at St. Thomas More, I got to see like what it was really like to be on a circuit where coaches are coming to a lot of your games and coming to your practices and being in contact with your coach about your habits and everything like that.
Okay, right on. Henry, how are you, buddy?
I'm solid. Hey, Duane, how y'all doing?
What's good? How are you, man? I'm all right.
I'm doing
Can't
good.
complain.
Solid.
Good. Hey, we just started, so we just asked the first two, so it's perfect
Okay.
timing for you. We just
Okay.
talked about his journey down to the US with his
Okay.
D1 offers.
Solid. I don't know much about you, but what I know is that you did go to South Carolina. So you playing for Frank Martin at South Carolina, who was obviously, famous for demanding pretty much the same principles as Kyle Julius, defensive intensity and mental toughness. What do you think one of those lessons are and advice that he gave you that, it kind of carries on to you playing with the Bandits today?
I think he gave me so many different tools, keys to success, but I think for me, the biggest thing would have to be an everyday dude. That was like Frank Martin saying, he was like, be consistent. And so for me, when it comes to the Bandits, like my habits, I try to like keep myself as poised as possible and show up in the best way I can. And I think, the definition of being a true man that has like, the best character is someone that can be a man of their word, deliver on their promises, but also just continue to do what they said they're going to do. So for me, If my job is to run to the corner every day in practice, then I'm gonna run to the corner every day in practice. Like no matter how big or small the ask is, I want to make sure that I'm always dependable. So I think that was one of the biggest lessons that like Frank Martin taught. And I think that's why I'm able to always get playing time in different situations on different teams. Like I might not be the highest scorer, the this, that, and the third, but the reason why I get playing time is because I'm consistent in certain departments. So you know I'm gonna take a charge. You know I'm gonna hustle. You know I'm gonna make the one more. You know I'm gonna be a great teammate. So Frank Martin always told me to be an everyday dude. So that was my biggest, I think, philosophy mentally that I try to carry with me.
We talked about that, you and I, a couple of days ago, about taking charges, right? Like you, there was I think it was a couple of games ago in my mind, because you were traveling on the road. I don't travel with the team. I'm watching it at home, and you took a charge. And for me, that's when I feel that game turned around, because then you took a second charge a few possessions later, and the energy and excitement just kept going from there.
Yeah, I love taking
So
charges, man.
yeah, yeah. Well, as long as you don't get the knee right in the middle to start them.
Right, right.
Yeah. So yeah, what I was gonna say, like I've been around you for 3 years now. First year I was kind of quiet, but I'm getting to know you a little bit more. And like what you've said, I've seen like you play the right way, you practice the right way, you play hard, you practice hard, you support wherever it is needed. One of the things that I read about you at South Carolina, and you know, you never know if Wikipedia is true or not, but I'll ask. First 2 years you were a starter, and then the third year they asked you to come and actually be a sixth man. And then you ultimately won the Sixth Man of the Year award. And then going back into your fourth year, you regained that starter role, and then you helped lead that team to the Final Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know it's not much of a question, but how do you, because you've seen in different pro games and different places that you've been, some guys just don't accept that. Is that the everyday mentality that he was talking about? Just accept it and do the best you can?
I think there's two parts to that question for me. The first component is like growing up playing Team Canada at a young age. I was really introduced to one, rejection, two, not getting playing time. Like going from being on a high school where I'm playing all game, or being in certain, teams, my house league teams, whatever, my club teams where I'm playing and the man, and then going to Team Canada where I'm not getting playing time with a cadet team, and that was very humbling for me. That was like at a young age, I had to really understand junior men's national team, understand like I do have value on the team, but it might be politics involved. There might be just different scenarios involved. So I think all those things conditioned me to get to a point where I can be so versatile and I can be so even keeled. The coach can start me and he cannot start me. Like no matter what, I'm gonna still have the same approach to every basketball game. I'm gonna still leave it out there on the court. And then the second thing I think is, when Frank recruited me, he never lied to me. And I think that was like the biggest thing, and the reason why we both had trust in that relationship was very important. Because when he recruited me and he came to both of my households, he was just like, I'm not going to promise you they're going to make the NBA. I'm not going to promise you I'm going to start you. I'm not going to promise you you're going to play 40 minutes a game. He's like, I'll promise you if you work hard, like these things will happen. And I'm the kind of guy that I like the challenge. And he likes to work hard too, so he was down there in the trenches with me, and I was able to get opportunities because of it. And then basically, I feel like as a Canadian, we always have this identity crisis of like, oh, we're called soft as basketball players or athletes. And I don't know, I just don't like being problematic. So my third year, essentially what happened, Frank likes his starters. So we had two starters that were very capable, so they were starting. Then my boy Sindarius, he was starting. And then we had a rookie, a guy named PJ Dozier, who actually ended up playing in the NBA for a little bit. But he was on our team, and he was from South Carolina, and he was being recruited by North Carolina and all these other big schools. And the fact that he ended up staying and playing with his hometown team, I think Frank promised him a starting spot. So when Frank came to me, he was like, man, I promised his freshman a starting spot. But and I think it was the transparency that really helped me. Obviously, as any player, athlete, or competitor, you're like, man, I feel like I'm being demoted. I just started for the past 2 years, whatever. All those feelings I felt. But at the same time, I knew how hard I worked, and I knew that just because I'm not starting doesn't mean I'm not going to play the same amount of minutes or play the whole game like I usually do. So I just took it as a challenge. And once I realized that I want to be the best player coming off the bench and change the game and provide that spark, everything kind of clicked into place. And when I got the award, it kind of was just a combination of like, okay, me believing in myself and trusting in the coach. Like he was like, you're still going to get the same touches. You're still going to be, one of the main guys. We just for the how this is working, we need you to come off the bench. And it didn't hit my ego. It didn't hurt my pride. And I'm a rebel heart. So I just wanted to continue to work hard and make it work. And that's what happened.
Well, and sometimes that guy coming off the bench, the different energy, the spark, the compete. Like we have a guy on our high school team that I think he's one of the best six men because he comes in and he goes 150 miles an hour and people are like, whoa, like he's coming off the bench and he's doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely an advantage to it. I think for me, even when I play with the Bandits, like there's games where I don't think I I don't think I started the first like 4 or 5 games, and now I'm starting, and it's like you as you get older too, and you get deeper in your basketball experiences, you start to realize the game starts moving slower. I know it's a little cliche when people say that, but it's true. Like the more game film you watch, the more times you play basketball, it just seems like everything's moving in slow motion. You're able to make reads quicker, and on the dime. And I think there's an advantage to not starting. You get to see how the game's being played. You get to see how the whistle's being called. You get to see how certain teams are playing and what the concepts are. If I'm seeing Jalen get hard hedged, I'm like, okay, when I go into the game, I understand that that's what I have to expect. So I think when you don't start, like for any athlete out there who's not starting, don't let it be the end all be all. Like understand that that's an opportunity for you to read the game at a different level, and then it's kind of like a cheat sheet. Like you have Spark Notes, you get into the game, and it's like, okay, I already know how the first 5-10 minutes were going, and now let me see how I can change it up or impact or add to it.
That's brilliant.
That was a lot to take in. Me, I'm starting to coach for myself. So like one thing I'm really learning from Tom or like anybody that's helping me in my new journey is like, just understanding. I think one thing about like basketball, like it's just like life. You have to be able to like, just always be a student and stuff. So before I ask my question, I actually wanted to ask you because you were touching on some of your experiences with your South Carolina coach back in the days. So you talking to athletes out there, like talking to our listeners, how important is it for players to be able to just like, trust the process and trust their coaches?
It's very important. I think, outside of Frank Martin, I think Kyle Julius is another example of like me trusting the process, trusting the coach. Because there's a lot of people that come to me and be like, man, why are you going back to Vancouver? Like, if you came here, you would be a starter, you'd be this, you'd be that. And I'd be like, it's not about that. Like, I think when you have a bigger goal in mind and understanding when it comes to coaching, like, that there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle and they have to manage a lot of things. Like if you have a great relationship with the coach and you're able to trust them and it's reciprocated, I think it goes a long way. Of course, there's going to be situations and times where you feel like you're in the right and they're in the wrong and vice versa, but that's just life. That's any dynamic in relationship. So I think that when you're able to have and establish that trust, it goes a long way. And that goes on and off the court. That goes even like, say it's the second quarter and you pick up your third foul and it's like your coach can trust that you can stay in the game and not pick up that fourth foul. Or, there's a lot of different situations that add to that situation. But I think as a player, my biggest, I think, strength is that I am coachable. Like I never want to be in an environment where I'm known as a difficult person or player. So I like to conduct myself that way on and off the court. And like you mentioned, like basketball is a metaphor for life, right? So I like to have good manners, practice good patience, and have good habits, and I think that's how I am on the court. So if I'm in a situation or environment that doesn't feed me or service me, then I'll speak up for sure. But there's a time and a place to do that. If I feel like me and the coach are not on the same page, and I have to go meet with them man to man, talk to them, and figure out, how we can get there. And if not, then I have to leave. That situation doesn't service me. But every situation I've been a part of, it really helps me, and it benefits me in my career and my life. So I've been blessed and fortunate. But yeah, I think that the biggest strength you can have as a player is being coachable, because not everybody is able to do that. And you can learn so much. Like even today, Tom could attest to it. We have a player, Mitch, who came back and he was teaching guys how to, utilize certain footwork in the post today. And it was literally like 3 or 4 coaches had their phone out, they're recording. Guys are watching. New guys that don't even know Mitch, like that are new on this team this year, were like locked in and paying attention. And I was watching and paying attention. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter how old or young you are. Like you can learn something from everybody, and that's just not basketball. That's life. Like I can learn something from you, Henry, and you're younger than me. I can learn something from Tom, and he's older than me. So it doesn't matter like what environment you're in, as long as you're able to open yourself up to accept like teachings and learnings. I think you could always evolve. So that's how I've always thought.
That was perfect. That was perfectly answered. Appreciate that. Okay, now to my question. So back in 2020, I know that was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was probably like the peak of your athletic career. Like, you playing in the G League and then transitioning to the Honey Badgers, and then you got hit with something that, unfortunately, a lot of athletes get hit with, and it's one of those injuries where it's like it's weird. You feel like you feel like a whole kick, but it's not a kick. That's when like, it's something worse. So is that Achilles tear? When did you feel like, or I guess not when, but how were you able to cope with that at that time of your career? Like I know like we've seen Kevin Durant go through that in 2019, where it wasn't the peak of his career, but he could have had like, his fourth ring, and
Yeah.
right. So
Man, that was probably like one of the worst, but also best times of my life for real. Because again, being an athlete, if I was speaking to other athletes out there, obviously it's different now with NIL. But back then, growing up, it was always like you get a scholarship, make sure you graduate and get your degree, because you can't play sports forever. And as a kid growing up, you're always like, yeah, sure, 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 but you don't have a plan B. You don't think you'd be the type of player to get hurt. So like the fact that I had to experience that, I think was a wake up call for me because I dedicated so much of my life to basketball. So when I got hurt, it was like, who am I? Who is Duane outside of the game of basketball? And I had to learn myself. And I think it was a blessing that I had to do that because if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be able to discover like my passion for movies or really lock into different aspects of my life or broadcasting and different things that I want to transition to outside of basketball. But it was definitely a tough time. What got me through it, I think, was both my faith, but also my family. Like, as everybody knows, I have a brother named Marcus Carr who plays professional basketball as well. And at the time, I think he was at the University of Minnesota, transitioning to play at the University of Texas. So just having a younger brother who's like going through the fire right now and playing at a high level, like that was everyday inspiration for me. Like working out with him. He went to Mount Verde, the prep school in Florida, and he tore his ACL when he was with RJ Barrett. They were playing together in high school, and he tore his ACL. So he went through a major injury before I did. So leaning on him and asking him questions about how he felt in certain situations, like understanding. I even went to like sports therapy, like utilizing sports therapies and talking to psychiatrists like in the sports game and just understanding like how to relearn different things neurologically wise and just like how I could understand basketball and myself together. Like it was a lot. Like it was a lot of soul searching. It was a lot of long nights. It was a lot of times where I felt like I was done with the sport. Like I wanted to give up. It was over. But I think it was again my rebel heart. Like people telling me that I wouldn't be the same, that I can't play no more. Like it made me want to like go harder in the gym and stuff. So if it wasn't for my faith in my family, I don't think I'd be here. But again, I think it was a very necessary chapter in my life because it also helped me evolve as a person. I understand that there's like more things to life than the game of basketball, but then also it made me like be grateful for it because I never really was taken away from the game for that long before in my life. So I couldn't play for like a year and a half, 2 years. And it, like I said, it made me like study the game, made me like appreciate being on the road with teammates, made me appreciate travel, practices, like made me appreciate all that kind of stuff. Then I was able to kind of like learn the nuances of like how to. I feel like that's why I'm playing well at an older age now because I learned the nuances of like I have to make sure I lift weights. If I don't lift weights and if I don't get recovery or treatment, then I know that's detrimental to my health and it's not going to be feeding my purpose. So it made me take care of the things off the court that I probably didn't take care of, like even hydration, like different things that I really like wanted to sleep, like different things I wanted to like pay attention to. So it was a blessing and a curse for sure.
So getting back to we'll talk about the movie stuff in a second, but your professional career, the G League, the Honey Badgers, the Bandits, like where else have you played? Where else have you gone? Where's it taken you?
So after my first year, or after my first year pro, I went to play first league in Poland, and it was one of those nightmare stories. So I ended up not finishing the year there, like not getting paid on time, like not getting the right car. It was like a whole bunch of stuff. So I ended up coming back, and that's when I joined the G League. But outside of that, it was just like a lot of international play, like playing with Team Canada, just playing with the senior men's national team. I did a lot of those windows, did the World Championships, helped them compete for the Olympics and stuff like that. So that was pretty much my pro journey so far before I got hurt. And then after that, it's been the BSL with Sudbury and then Vancouver here at the CEBL back and forth.
So how did the Vancouver Bandits, come into your professional conversation? When did that all start?
Again, that's all College Julia is. Like the beautiful thing about basketball is that you're able to cultivate these relationships. So for me, it was like I've known Kyle since I was a kid. Like I don't want to misquote, but I feel like I was like 10 or 11 when I met him, like around that age. Him being a skills trainer, coming back from being a professional basketball player, us having a lot of mutual friends and stuff like that, or people that we know in the basketball community. And I think he knows my character, knows my body. He understands that I got hurt, and I think it was tough for me again because my agent dropped me. I wasn't able to get like job opportunities for a hot minute because people were like, is he the same player? The Achilles is really big. Kevin Durant just had his. I think Dwight Powell had his after that, so I was able to talk to him a little bit, but it still wasn't as consistent enough where people were like, it was still like a major thing. So people thought I wasn't going to play again. Like 2 doctors said that you're probably not going to play ever again. So I was like, oh, wow. So Kyle was just one of those guys that gave me opportunity. He was like, yo, I'm the head coach now. And, I know you're going to work hard. Come out here to Vancouver. And I'm like, why not? I thought it was a change of scenery for me, slower pace, different from Ontario. And I thought it would be great to escape the noise of like, am I going to return? Am I going to be the same? Because that's all I heard when I was in Ontario or when I was rehabbing. So it just seemed like it fit both of our desires. And like I said, it felt like a family reunion because I know his family. Like his kid Marcus, like when he was born, like I was there. Like not there in the hospital, but I was around like Kyle. Like I was, when his wife was pregnant, I was around like sleeping on Kyle's couch before we would do 2-a-days and stuff like that. So I've been a part of his family's life for a minute. So I think it was a no-brainer for me to come to Vancouver. And then I think it just blossomed because of like me getting more healthy. Like my first year here, I was not 100%. Like I was not playing well. I would say I wasn't playing well, but I wasn't 100%. Still limping, still wasn't confident, still wasn't athletic or making certain plays that I'm making now. And then I just think it's been a beautiful growth since then. And he's always supported that. So I think our relationship is the reason why I'm here.
I always say like when you have that type of relationship with the coach where like life brings you guys together after a certain amount of years, it's like it feels so funny because then other people around you try not to make it seem like it's you know the coach is treating you better, but it's like you've just known him for that long. It's like it just happens, right?
Facts.
Do you ever feel like sometimes like I know he calls you the team culture. How does that describe make you feel like he describes you as the heartbeat? Because I remember I watched you play like last year, and I heard you and Tom talk about it. I think it was the first or second question where you're that guy, like even in practices, diving after loose balls, doing the dirty work. Like how are you able to you use that, but not just as a name, but to transform like basketball in Vancouver?
I just like, well, for first of all, one of my favorite people is Batman, and I think that's like one of my biggest inspirations. The reason why I love him as well is because he has no powers. He seems like he's the ordinary player, ordinary person, and he's like, I think that's his biggest strength, that he could be any one of us. And I think that's like the kind of chip on the shoulder that I play with, is that I could be anybody else out there. So I like to be like the everyday person that just brings their hard hat and their lunch to work every single day, not knowing what the day is gonna bring, but understanding that I can contribute and control my own destiny. I think that's the biggest thing, is that I never want to be complacent. I always want to be a guy that's striving for more. And like I mentioned earlier to you, like being dependable really matters. So I think that's one of the reasons why Kyle's able to trust me, is because he knows that he knows what he'll get from me in certain situations. And just knowing him for so long, I understand that I'm kind of like an extension of what he wants. I understand like the principles, the concepts. I understand the terminology. Like I can play 1 through 4 because I've just like studied the game film and I've been around him, and just constant reps over time just build confidence and build that trust. And I think that's the reason why I've been able to be a consistent, player in Vancouver and be able to be a star in whatever role he needs me to be. Whether it has to be a point guard one game, or whether it has to score 20 points one game, or whether it has to not play at all, but be the best teammate I can be. You know what I'm saying? Every day I have to show up and lead by example, and then also lead vocally in certain aspects. So how, I don't know. I just always been that kind of player. Like I said, is like I try to figure out different ways to stay on the court. And that's been that way since like Team Canada. My shot's not going well. I want to make it so hard on my coach that he can't take me out, because my defense is at a high caliber. If I'm turning the ball over, I want to be doing something else that I'm doing at a high level, so my coach can't take me out. Like that's always like how I thought the game.
Yeah, that's actually funny enough that you said that. We ran it. You know, coaching under Tom, I ran into this problem literally November, and I remember I would call Tom about this day and night, saying like, I don't know what the hell to do, because one of our seniors, and it's really hard too, because it's like, senior year, you're expecting that, man, I gotta play, it's my final year, I gotta go out. But unfortunately, at the same time, our 11s, they were just killing it. From these kids, grade 9, top of the province, I believe they were number 1 at the time. Unfortunately, provincials came in, stuff happened. Grade 10, they're still ranked, and so just going on. And this problem was basically like he was just not getting any touches. So I haven't played any basketball after high school. Tom can merge
Yeah.
that. So everything I'm learning is just like from him and like high school basketball, and learning from like pros and stuff. So I had to make the call to Texas on one of my cousins, and he said straight up, you want to be that guy that plays minutes, you got to play 94 feet, like everything you guys are talking about. You got to do the dirty work. You want to grab rebounds. Don't be that guy that's leaking in transition. Be that Draymond. Once your coach sees that, I've got an Army vet on my team, how the hell can he take you out? He takes you out, 30-point lead, just like that, right? So I feel like, to me, one thing I'm learning is like just being a dog, being a
Yeah.
football player on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Like one thing I was learning yesterday at practice is, when you see a point guard, you see a quarterback. It's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
You got to be that guy where it's like, you got to be able to make the reads. If you don't like anything that you see, Lamar Jackson, put your head down,
Do it
put the
yourself.
ball
Yeah.
down, and go. One dribble and go. And I feel like those analogies, when you play basketball at a young age, Tom, like even me, I never knew that. If Tom tells you right now how I played in grade 12 and 11, he'll be honest with you. God awful. It was bad. It's
Except
like
for
I would
one
have
quarter. Except for one
one
quarter, Andrew.
quarter, one quarter, quarter of my life. That was the greatest quarter of my life. And then after that, Tom's like, oh, he's back.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to Duane away from basketball. Like what I know the answer, but I don't know if everybody does. What do you like to do away from basketball?
For me, I'm an avid reader, so I like to read a lot. But for me, I'm a cinephile, so I like to watch a lot of TV shows and movies. I have a movie podcast with my boy Macau where we review films and talk about films a lot. And then, yeah, I went to school for broadcast journalism, so I like to like do marketing stuff and broadcasting and hosting. And when I was hurt, I actually had the opportunity to do the radio broadcast for the Raptors out of five. So that was cool. So I got to like intern and do some 2 years of that. So it prepared me for when I'm done playing basketball. But that's pretty much it. I'm a pretty chill guy. Like I don't like to go out too much. I like good food. I like to watch a lot of movies and I like to read. So that's pretty much my thing off the court.
So did your love for movies come from that time when you were injured, or was it inbred in you before that?
It
Or
was
was it like
before
a
that.
certain movie? There was a certain movie that was like, I love this stuff.
I think it was my family. Like I have to credit my family for that a lot. Two things. I think like on my mom's crib, like me and my brother, my mom every weekend it would always be like Friday. Like we're going to Blockbuster. Marcus, you can get a movie. Duane, you can get a movie. And then you guys can get one game each. So that was always like a family tradition. And the family would get like my mom would get like a movie that we could all watch together, and then she would get like a movie for her that I probably couldn't watch. Then whenever I was fortunate enough to go to my dad's house, like he would put me on so many movies. I remember being like 5 years old watching The Matrix. So just like being young, getting to see all these movies, and he was the typical like even Blade 2 when it came out, I was so young, and he was like, just don't tell your mom. Like I just remember being young and getting to watch all these movies and going to the movie theaters with him, and I think that's what really sparked it. Space Jam came out in '96. I was born in '94, so I was two watching that movie, and one of the biggest things I remember being able to do was like take out the VHS tape and rewind and press play and put. That was like one of the first things I would do. And then just copy Michael Jordan dunking off my bed or chair, trying to dunk onto the Fisher Price net. So I think movies and basketball, like cinema and basketball, always went hand in hand for me in life. But I will say it wasn't until the injury where I was like, oh, like this passion could be something. Prior to that, I was just always the guy in the friends group that everyone just like we'd be hanging out and channel surfing, and they'd be like, "What movie is this?" And I would identify it. They'd be like, "How do you do that? Like, what do you do with your life? Like, how do you just watch movies?" Or I'd be the guy that just recommended movies for my friends. Like they'd be like, "I know he's gonna see this movie. He sees every movie. So like, how was it? Should I go to the movies to watch it or not? Yes or no?" So it wasn't until I got hurt where I started a basketball podcast. I was interviewing like Asia Wilson and different like players, and I just felt like this is so stereotypical to me. Like being a basketball player interviewing like NBA or like whatever friends, like cool. But I'm like, what speaks more to my heart? And it was more like the cinema stuff, and I thought I was more disruptive. So that's why I was able to like lean into it more. And then because I've been doing it more, it's like just becoming more of a thing. Like I've been going to film festivals like TIFF or the Calgary one, and just being able to act in certain movies and direct and write. So it's been fun.
Right on. So, I mean, you kind of answered it because I've never heard of that word cinephile until you said it. It's not like it's a word that doesn't exist in the vocabulary, but now I'm hearing it more and more. So, is that basically what a cinephile is? Just a pure lover of movies and everything involved with it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know the definition of it. I'm pretty sure that's what it encompasses. And then, like I said, like I just know that when I watch a movie and say I come to practice and my teammates like we could have watched the same movie, they'll be like, it was good. But like their reason for why it was good and my reason for why it was good is just two different things. And that's when I realized like, yeah, I might be like insane, might be a little bit different than everybody else. Like I'm making connections and stuff to like traumas and different things, and they're like, I did not get that from this movie, Duane. I'm making all these connections. So I don't know. I'm an avid person. There's not anything I would say no to. I watch like 3 to 5 movies a day. I watch like 2 to 3 shows a day. Like that's all I watch, man. Like before practice, I'm pausing something and then going to the gym. Then I'm pausing it when I come home. Like it's a thing.
Can you like I've tried to because I have a lot of favorites. Can you truly enjoy a movie, or like do you feel like film can change like your point of view or an experience in life?
That's a great question. I think it can change. I think depending on where you are, where my environment is, who I'm watching things with, that's why I'm very like strict about how I watch and consume my movies. I also am the guy that watches things multiple times. Like recently, a movie that just came out, Obsession. I watched that like 7 times. Right, I've seen it in theaters like 4 times. I watched it at home 3 times. For me, it's like I catch up on different things, or I'm like the sucker. I'm the king of like I want to take someone to a movie and then like seeing their experience of like for the first time watching it. Like I'm just so envious of that. Um, but like creating that discourse and that feeling of community, I love that. Of like being able to have that like lunchroom talk where we're talking about like why like Tom and I did it last year when it came to like Superman and different things. Like I live for those conversations before practices, after practices, where I'm talking to friends or teammates or family about why they like or dislike a certain part of a film or a movie. But yeah, I think that who I watch it with, who I'm around, how many times I watch it, like all those things definitely matter. My mood, like, if it's 9 a.m. and I'm watching like a scary movie, it might not hit the same as if it's at night. So I think all those things definitely matter. I think I noticed too, the older I get, that like your like where you are in life matters too. Like there's certain movies that I didn't understand as a kid, but then when I got older, like Godfather being one of them, didn't really see the hype of it as a kid. But then when I got older and into my 20s and now especially in my 30s, I'm like, oh, like I understand like the metaphors for family and for loyalty and for all these type of things. So there's movies that I also have outgrown too that I watch now that I used to like as a kid and be like, why did I like that movie? This movie's horrible. So I think it matters. Yeah, time definitely matters.
You're going to have to, because I've seen the practice and I've seen how hard you guys work. When your basketball career is over and the amount of movies and stuff that you watch, you're going to have to go on like an Ozempic prescription or something. You're going to have to find something to burn the
Definitely,
calories.
definitely, because oh my goodness, I'll be watching movies all day. It'll be bad. It'll be bad.
Yeah. Henry, you can skip 13. We got 2 questions left for you, Duane.
Okay. Okay. So I've seen all those commercials where it's like you've done Bandits sponsors. So what other acting have you done?
All right, so recently I was in a movie that came out in theaters called Whistle. Kind of did like a special skills work they call it, but I was in the opening scene, the basketball scene, a couple of the shots and stuff in the locker room scene. It was pretty cool, a little horror film. Outside of that, I've done a whole bunch of like short films. Like last year, I acted in a couple of short films. They're supposed to be coming out in film festivals this year around Canada, and then more so like social stuff. I've done like a short episodic thing for like this TikTok because now vertically filming shows is like a new thing or whatever. So I did something like that, but I recently signed to an agency and now I'm like going through the process of like auditions and different things like that. So now we'll see, especially in Sudbury, like there's a couple opportunities for like Hallmark movies and stuff that they did before. So I might do that. I'm just trying to gain all the experience I can. Like I'm looking at this like how kind of how you are, Henry, when it comes to the coaching now. Like when I'm on set, I'm asking everybody every question. Like I'm so annoying.
Yeah.
I'm just, what does this mean? Why do you guys call this an apple? Like what does it mean when you do this with the slate? Like I didn't go to film school, so like this is my film school, my experience. So just having the opportunity to, and I think the coolest thing about being a basketball player is that it's easy for you to resource with people. Because you play
100%.
basketball at a high
Yeah.
level, now people want to put me in movies or put me in or give me or allow me to have certain opportunities. I feel like if I didn't play basketball, I would not be getting these opportunities. There for sure, it'd be like you have no acting experience, you're not doing like. But because of my basketball career, it's now allowing me to walk into these doors that I'm taking very seriously, and now I'm like going to acting classes, and now I'm actually like going to film school and doing different things that like I want to do. So when I'm done playing basketball, I can really dive into it head first.
Well, you'll have to send your clips to your new buddy Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, you had some runs at just a local Langley Elementary School with Adam, and
Yeah, it was
that must have been pretty
insane.
cool.
It was insane. I was getting treatment after practice. Dylan, our president, came down and he said, "Hey, I got a text that I gotta play, or not got to, but I got invited to play basketball with Adam Sandler because he's out here filming a movie called Time Out. And during his lunch breaks, he likes to like hoop. That's his like form of fitness. I've seen viral clips of Adam hooping every now and then. And the craziest story is that like a couple of years ago, my brother was at the University of Texas. Adam actually was out there for his comedy tour where he plays a guitar and sings and he like does a couple jokes or whatever. And he stopped by his school to like play 2-on-2 with the grad assistants. And my brother was like working out and then he saw him and he took a picture and everything. And I'm like, oh, that's so crazy. So fast forward to now, it happens. I'm like, oh, Adam really does hoop. Like when he's at movie sets, he really like tries to find local parks that he can hoop at. And it's not for social media. It's not for clout. It's like for his fitness and the love of the game. I just watched the last game of the NBA Finals, Game 4, and he was there in the crowd going crazy when OG tipped it in. So he's a basketball fan. He knows how to play the game. He's really good. And long story short, Dylan had a meeting. He couldn't make it, so he invited me. And he's like, I know you love movies. You have a movie podcast. Would you want to go? I said, yeah, right now. And he's like, you got to go right now. Like, it's down the street. And it ended up being at like some local Langley public school. And it was cool. We played 3-on-3 for an hour and a half. We won 7 games. I was on his team. Admittedly, I knew how he played because I watched clips. So I think I came in with like a scouting report and I was able to gel with him. It was kind of cheating. But he was throwing me behind the back passes, lobs to the rim, like backdoor passes. He has a nice reverse layup. He's not the greatest outside shooter, but he has a nice bank shot and pull up, and his handle is crisp. So I thought it was pretty cool. I got to play with him, talk a little bit about movies after, and I got to give him a Bandits jersey too. So it was fun.
Cool. Well, we'll have to wait for him to show up on a different show somewhere wearing it.
Facts.
Or maybe he'll come to a Bandits game next time he's in town.
Hopefully.
All right, last segment of the show, we call our quick hitters.
Okay.
So Henry's going to run with this one. So we have 8 quick hitter questions for you. Answer quick, and that'll be the show.
Okay. It's your pregame meal.
Gnocchi.
Who do you look up to as a basketball player growing up?
Vince Carter.
Favorite movie of all time?
Heat. 1995.
Who's winning the 2026 NBA championship?
And the Knicks.
Yeah. Favorite director?
That one is rapid fire. PTA. Paul Thomas Anderson.
Favorite superhero?
Batman.
Okay. You're known as a ferocious defender. Who's the best defender you've played against?
Ooh, the best defender I played against. I would say David, but he hacks. He's a fouler. It's not good defense at all. The best defender I played against. That's a great question. Dang, what was his name? Back in the day, there was this guy on Florida Gators. Man, I forgot his name. He was so good as a point guard. But I forgot his name. It might be Scotty something. But he was so good at like on-ball defender. He was incredible. Like when they say ice the ball screen, I couldn't do nothing. He was trapping me. He was like, it was tough. That was like one of the hardest games I had of my life as a freshman playing at Florida.
Okay. Go Jordan, LeBron, or someone else?
LeBron. I'm a LeBron guy. I'm sorry.
You're a LeBron guy.
I'm a LeBron guy.
We're probably not quite 50-50. I mean, there's some other guys for Curry and a couple other guys, Durant, stuff on that. But
really bad percentage.
I think
Curry
the majority are
Durant.
there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all must be talking to some kids.
Yeah, there was a couple kids we're talking to there.
Nah, Durant's definitely good, and Curry changed the game. It's probably top 3 best point guards ever. But yeah, LeBron, I got to witness his whole career. Yeah, he was doing things that like I remember being in middle school and he was in the finals, and then when I graduated university, he was still in the finals. That's how many times he went to the finals straight. Like every year it was like LeBron in the finals. Like, it was crazy.
It's crazy. Well, I mean, like you, I grew up in the Jordan era, right? And people like San Antonio or the Knicks. I'm like, never the Knicks, man. I hate the Knicks. We hated the Knicks
you guys
back
hate
then.
the Knicks, yeah. My dad is like throwing a fit right now. The Knicks are winning. Yeah, he's a big Jordan guy too. He showed me all the Jordan takes. Like I love Jordan. Like he's definitely like if someone's like Jordan's the best, I'm not like you're crazy. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, right on. Well, really appreciate your time, Duane. I know you got a lot of stuff going on in your life and basketball. And we got a couple games coming up this weekend. Just want to say thank you for joining the show, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys for having me. It was really fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah.